Happening now, the threat of aerial flooding continues. A look at the latest forecasts on where the heaviest rain will fall. And discussions on what to do about Jamestown's urban deer population is back in the spotlight. Plus, work to redevelop the area's tallest building, taking a step forward.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, the threat of aerial flooding continues today, with heavy rains later this afternoon and evening expected to cause some trouble for those in low-lying areas. We'll first get a check of our weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter, who's tracking it all. Dakota?
Well, as of right now, Justin, we are kind of in a lull across much of the region right now, but the rain showers are going to continue as we go throughout the afternoon. Here's First Defense Doppler on a 5-hour time lapse, and you can kind of see these lake effect rain showers continuing across the region. And the better chance for at least the heavier downpours will be once again across the westernmost southern tier. That is pretty much where we're to see the heaviest rain through today. So this aerial flood watch continues for Chautauqua County and Erie County, Pennsylvania until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that means between now and 5 a.m. aerial flooding could very well be likely. In fact, here is the Weather Prediction Center's excessive rainfall outlook, or what we call the flooding outlook. You can see that yellow shade right there is that slight risk for flash flooding. So that is a elevated risk that with these showers through the afternoon today could contain some heavy downpours. So if you live in areas that are prone to flooding, make sure you pay attention to flood warnings if they are issued through the afternoon hours. We started the day at 49. High yesterday was 54 and 27. So the forecast through the afternoon, lots of clouds, occasional lake effect rain showers continue through the afternoon and heavy at times, 50 to 58, and it still will be breezy. Now we are keeping our eyes on Hurricane Ian down in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll talk about that, plus the forecast rain totals here locally in just a few minutes, Justin.
All right, Dakota, we'll see you back in just a bit. Well, a year after Jamestown lawmakers voted down a plan that would have okayed a controlled hunt to help control the urban deer population, discussions on what to do continue. Within the past year, many residents have come forward and sought Jamestown City Council members for answers on what to do to combat this issue. On the other hand, some feel doing nothing is the right decision here. One resident presented studies during Monday's meeting showing that deer are no threat to city life in terms of health and nuisance issues. Council President Tony Doles has seen both sides of this story and tells us he's conflicted on what to do next.
It was a year ago right now that we had a plan out there. The plan was not supported because there were some concerns at the last minute about the process and how it was going to be implemented. And, you know, to be honest with you, there are people out there that do not want to have a hunt or kill in the city of Jamestown.
Currently, there's no plan of action as to what to do with the deer here in the city. We'll, of course, continue to follow this and keep you updated. Well, as part of a $40 million project, work to redevelop Jamestown's tallest building is underway. Our Bronson Rasmussen is breaking down details of the plan.
Some housing, some affordable housing, so there will be a mix of housing. There will be some boutique hotel as part of the building, and then the rest of it will be commercial space. So there may be some professional office type space, but the first floor will be all retail, restaurant, that kind of commercial use.
The Furniture Mart building, located at 111 West 2nd Street in downtown Jamestown, will be redeveloped by Buffalo business Savarino Companies. According to the city's Director of Development, the historical building qualifies for a $500,000 Restore New York grant.
The project needs to meet the definition of vacant, so it needs to be at least 50% not occupied. The community must be qualified as a disadvantaged community. It must be in a brownfield opportunity area. It also meets an Empire Zone qualification. Feasibility and readiness need to be completed. Committed financing expected to start within 12 months. Induce commercial investment and improve local housing. and leverage other state and federal programs.
If the grant is awarded, the City of Jamestown would provide a 10% match of $50,000. The remaining funds would come from the contractor directly.
As far as I understand, they're very close to closing on a sale. So once that is done, we will be able to move forward. The applications are due October 11th.
Once the sale is finalized and plans are drawn up, work would have to begin within a year of the grant's application in early October. Current parking spaces will also be transformed into parking garages for the new residents and businesses in the building. Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
Jamestown Public Schools is accused of not properly managing funds as part of poor budgetary practices outlined by New York State's comptroller. From July 1st of 2018 to April 14th of this year, the comptroller's office discovered the district maintained a surplus fund balance over the 4% statutory limit. This balance, his office says, exceeded the statutory limit by 7 percentage points, totaling $6.3 million. Officials also found that the district overestimated budgetary appropriations of $6.5 million, resulting in a surplus in the last 3 fiscal years. The comptroller recommending the school correct the problem by developing a plan to reduce the surplus balance and reduce the overfunded reserves going forward. Well, a first-of-its-kind business to help entrepreneurs has set up operations in the city of Jamestown. As Alyssa Wright reports, Alico held a ribbon cutting at Crown Street Roasting Company, a local coffee shop in downtown Jamestown, on Monday.
Founded by Katie Castro, the new venture studio focuses on offering startup businesses and organizations advice.
Venture studios are all the rage all over the world right now. There's a 625% growth rate over the last 7 years in the industry. So we're just super excited to be able to pioneer this model here in Western New York. Venture studios, what they are basically is a startup that starts other startups, or that helps existing companies and organizations with their innovation.
The operation strives to incorporate each team member's individual experiences to create a collaborative and innovative approach.
It's a team approach, so we're all about catalyzing collaboration. So it is a team model, and all of our team members have day jobs, which means that they are in the trenches already here in Western New York. So they're not experts that are coming in and positioning their advice externally on our folks and our organizations, but rather they're people in the trenches every day with day jobs here who love this city, love this people, and have redemptive imagination for what might come next for us as a people.
Castro and her team push to instill a simple 4-letter word into each startup they assist.
This is the vision of Alico, to add color to our community, to add hope. That's right, we're at a business launch and I'm talking hope because Alico deals in hope.
To learn more about Alico, its members, and how they can help your business, visit their website, thealico.world. In Jamestown, Alyssa Wright, WNY News Now.
Coming up next, the latest efforts to crack down on unemployment insurance fraud in New York. And later, some good news for travelers in our region and Canada as they're ending their pandemic health restrictions for those trying to cross the border. Stay with us. WNY News Now is back after this.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Looking for a fair and honest auto mechanic? Look no further than DeWyas Auto Service. Located at 140 Main Street in Randolph, our family-owned business is ready for all of your automotive needs. From general service to more complex repairs, count on DeWyas Auto to keep you on the road. We not only keep your cars running smoothly, but also looking great with our expert detailing crew. Send us a message on Facebook or call us today at 716-358-2292 to set up an appointment. DeWyas Auto Service. Fair, honest, and the best prices guaranteed.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Governor Kathy Hochul has announced plans to crack down on unemployment insurance fraud. A recent State Department of Labor investigation found that insurance fraud accounted for more than $11 million in benefit payments in August alone. They paid almost exclusively to those working while also collecting unemployment insurance payments during the pandemic. Hochul says that the state would take steps to get that money back. Those steps include establishing a repayment plan and garnishing both state and federal tax returns. And as of today, there's been more than 1 million applications for mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. State officials there say the high-profile races this November likely drew a large voter turnout. However, there are still 1.7 million unregistered but eligible voters in the Commonwealth. During the month of September, which is National Voter Registration Month, the Department of State has led efforts to boost registration among young adults.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, when you look at young voters, which is usually 18 to 24, we're behind when it comes to voter registration rates amongst young voters. And the ones that we really need to register are the ones that are newly 18, right? The ones that this is their first election where they can participate.
The deadline to register to vote is October 24th, and if you don't plan to vote in person, the deadline for your county to receive your mail-in ballot application is November 1st in Pennsylvania. Well, right now, many are preparing to deal with Hurricane Ian and this latest dose of severe weather. Erie News Now's Mike Ruzzi caught up with a few former Western PA residents who have spent years like us dealing with cold and snow for decades. They're now getting ready to work through the rain and wind.
Former WICU weekend sports anchor Craig Woodard lives near Tampa Bay, and he has dealt with 3 previous hurricanes.
You know, we bought a house a year and a half ago. We have our storm windows, our shutters for the windows. We're not in an area where the water would come up, so that's okay.
One-time WICU reporter Harry Harrison moved to Naples, Florida just under 2 years ago, and he has other concerns besides the impact of Ian.
We have millions of new people moving to the area, and they are raiding the stores, taking all the supplies they can get, and some of them appear to be in somewhat of a panic mode. So the word with the local media down here has been, don't panic. Okay, we're going to keep you well informed. Just listen out for your evacuation route.
John Dudley spent many years covering the NFL for the Erie Times News. Now he's the National Media Relations Manager for the University of South Florida, and he has been overwhelmed with calls from the media requesting interview time with faculty members.
This one's a little different because we've been down here about 4 years, and this is the first one that has a potential track that would hit pretty close to us. We're not sure how that's going to turn out. We'll probably know in the next 24 to 48 hours. We are pretty close to the water, probably a half mile or less from the Gulf itself. So we are in a flood zone, like the top priority flood zone. So we could receive an evacuation notice, and we'll see what happens. You know, we're on fairly high ground where we are, even though there's salt water right in our backyard.
Mike Ruzzi, Erie News Now.
Mike, thank you. Cleveland Browns All-Pro defensive end Myles Garrett has been involved in a single vehicle accident. That news confirmed by the team yesterday. Reports detail that Garrett and a female passenger suffered non-life-threatening injuries as a result of a crash shortly after a practice session. Garrett was on the right side of the road when he lost control and his vehicle then was overturned. People were wearing their seatbelts at the time. Both he and his passenger have been hospitalized. Police don't suspect any impairment as a result of this crash. Canada is getting rid of the pandemic-related border restrictions that have been in place for 2.5 years now. Yesterday, Canadian officials said they're removing all COVID travel restrictions starting on October 1st. That includes quarantine and isolation requirements for people entering the country. A transportation official said travelers will also no longer be required to undergo health checks or wear masks for traveling on planes and trains. Similar changes also apply to cruise line passengers and crews who will no longer be subject to vaccine requirements or testing before boarding. Well, coming up next, a full look at our weather forecast and when we might get some more rain today. Stay with us.
When severe weather breaks, one team has you covered, tracking the storms as they happen. Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights. Vests.
Please, give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please.
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
Move over.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza. Yes.
Make a plan today.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense weather.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about in the weather department for today. First of all, wanted to start off with this weather eye picture of a rainbow over Chautauqua Lake yesterday. Thanks to Kat for sending that. And then, of course, if you have any pictures or videos of the weather, Hunters WX on Twitter, the First Defense weather page on Facebook, and use that hashtag MyLocalWX. And the rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, we've seen a lot. Sinclair We're 2.5 inches, Fredonia close to 2.5, Jamestown here in town almost 1.5 inches, and we're going to see much more rain on the way through today. So again, we still have that slight risk for at least excessive flooding, or what we call the flooding outlook. So all that yellow is that slight risk, so the better chance for any flooding issues is going to be across the western southern tier and especially northwestern Pennsylvania. And also keep in mind here, when we're dealing with flooding waters, it only takes 6 inches of fast moving water to sweep a person off their feet, and 1 foot of standing water is enough to carry a car. So you know what we say, turn around, don't drown when you see flooded roadways. Don't even attempt to drive through them. It's 52 degrees right now as of noon hour, a west wind of 13, still a bit breezy, so we still have that wind chill index of 48 degrees, and And the wind chill's kind of the sign of the times around here. So here's the radar for you, giving you a look at the radar here, showing you those lake effect rain showers. Now, this is a composite imagery. The Buffalo radar is down for maintenance. So basically, this is multiple radars stitched together. So it doesn't look as high resolution, but you get the picture of where those lake effect rain showers are. And it's all because of our that low pressure up there in the up toward Canada, that flow around the low, bringing in that cooler air from the Great Lakes. Hurricane Ian, Justin just talked about it just a couple of minutes ago. And here's the latest information on Ian, now a Category 3 hurricane as it is in the Gulf, close to the Florida Peninsula, 115-mile-per-hour winds with wind gusts of 130. The forecast track from the Hurricane Center has shifted a little bit farther south, so landfall location is likely going to be somewhere around Sarasota. So that's likely the new landfall location, possibly coming in as either a major 4 or 3, ultimately weakening off to a 1. But don't get too hung up in the ratings here. The impacts are going to be the same, with lots of flooding, rain, and storm surge along with strong gusty winds. So the ratings don't matter. The impacts are going to be the same. So here's the newest Runner Future Scan showing you those lake effect rain showers continuing through the afternoon hours today. And again, any one of them could contain some heavy downpours. That's why we have that threat for aerial flooding. We're ultimately going to see a few more through the overnight hours. Tomorrow we'll hang on to a few lingering light rain showers. Then by the time we go into Thursday, we should clear out all those green blobs. And then Thursday will be an overall nice day as we finally get a dry day around here. Forecast rainfall amounts going all the way through Thursday morning. We could be looking at about an additional 1 to 2 inches, maybe upwards of 3 inches there in Clymer. So again, that's where the heavier rain is going to be. Next 7 days, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. So we're still stuck in the 50s through Thursday. The sun will be back out Friday, and temperatures return back into the mid 60s, Justin, but that's still below average.
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. Well, around the nation, U.S. stocks started the week down. They closed lower over fears of a strong U.S. dollar. The dollar is surging from the UK's recent tax cut announcements and the Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hike. Investigators are worried because historically these surges occur alongside global economic crises. The Biden's White House now focusing on fighting diet-related diseases nationwide. They also want to end the country's hunger crisis by the end of the decade. Officials say the federal government has a roadmap with proposals that will address these issues. They plan involve asking Congress to increase access to healthy, free lunches for 9 million more children by 2032. The White House says it knows this strategy will take time to be put into motion, but once officials say they are ready to take, quote, bold action. Now, on Wednesday, the White House will host its first conference on hunger, nutrition, and health since 1969. Well, it's been a little more than 7 months since Russia invaded Ukraine, and throughout this conflict, reports and stories of war crimes and other atrocities against the Ukrainian people have circulated. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp shares what can be done to hold Russia accountable. Just a warning, some of the video and material in this report may be disturbing.
The war in Ukraine has revealed horrifying situations, especially against civilians. A maternity ward was bombed, cluster munitions hit a preschool. On Friday, a UN commission found that Russian soldiers have sexually assaulted and tortured children in Ukraine.
I have interviewed more than hundreds of civilians who survived in Russian captivity, and they told me the horrible stories, how they had been beaten, raped, caged in wooden boxes, their limbs had been cut off.
And reports of war crimes continue to climb.
So far, investigators estimate that around 500 soldiers and civilians alike are buried in mass graves in Izium, with many soldiers found shot with signs of torture and their hands tied behind their backs.
Although it may not seem like it, there are rules to war. It's all part of a collection from the Geneva Conventions as well as other international laws. But this is where it can get a little complicated to hold Russia, including President Vladimir Putin, accountable for any war crimes. One way is through the International Criminal Court, or the ICC. It was set up to prosecute crimes like genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. But according to the BBC, a lack of enforcement from the court can be an issue. The ICC doesn't have their own police force, so it relies on individual countries to arrest suspects. And since Russia is not a member of the court, it's unlikely to extradite any suspects.
Therefore, the creation of special international tribunal to investigate and punish the crime of aggression is essential for Ukraine.
Ukraine's prosecutor general is also asking for additional weapons to liberate Ukrainian cities under Russian control to get a full picture of other potential war crimes. In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp reporting.
Rachel, thank you. Next, a local PE teacher once again lacing up his shoes and setting out on a big trek as part of a fundraiser for local kids.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news,
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
there's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
Finally here today, a Chautauqua County educator once again setting out on a big trek. He's going the extra mile to provide for local children. As our Julia Gress reports, ahead of the November Bills and Vikings game, Collaborative Children's Solutions owner Patrick Smeraldo, he plans to take on an impressive feat in order to fundraise money for two worthy causes.
So on November 11th, 12th, and 13th, which is Veterans Day weekend, I'm going to walk from Jamestown in a few days to Orchard Park, to Highmark Stadium, to the Bills game, in conjunction with Harrison's Playmakers.
Harrison Phillips joined the Buffalo Bills in the third round of the 2018 NFL Draft as a defensive tackle. He was traded this year to the Minnesota Vikings. While a Buffalo Bill, Phillips created Harrison's Playmakers, an organization that gives kids with developmental differences and special needs the opportunity to play sports and share experiences they would likely not otherwise have.
There's 53 men on a pro football roster. There's 32 teams in the NFL. You know, it's like around 1,600, almost 1,700 individuals that are eligible for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. Harrison's been nominated back-to-back years for that honor. So 32 men out of almost 1,700.
Collaborative Children's Solutions was able to connect with the group and bond over their shared passion for helping children.
We have a family friend named Melissa Moore, whose son Ollie is a playmaker, lives in Buffalo and one of Harrison's Playmakers. I've always seen the videos of him with Harrison's group on Facebook. And I'd messaged Melissa, in the spring and just said, man, this is really neat. I'm so cool to see Ollie do this and the kids and enjoy that. If there's ever a chance to get some kids from Chautauqua County involved in his group, I'd love to pursue that and look into that.
The fundraiser will not only support Harrison's Playmakers, but also help the Stone family from Jamestown, who have an annual fundraiser to support children in foster care.
It was, we can do this. He's coming to Buffalo in November to play with the Vikings and the Bills. That's also National Adoption Month. It all just came together.
This year, the Stones will be building birthday boxes for children in foster care to be donated to court-appointed special advocates of Chautauqua County. Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Julia, thank you very much. And it's so great to see Patrick continue these efforts. And if I remember correctly, Dakota, this isn't the first time He walked a great distance for charity. He did it back in 2021 over the summer around Chautauqua Lake for a summer camp fundraiser. So it'll be interesting to see what the weather's going to be like then in mid-November. He might not be as lucky. I know, but he might not be as lucky having nice summertime weather, certainly, to get around. So good for Patrick.
Might need the snow boots.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, or just get some skis.
Don't take it as a forecast.
He could get some skis and just do it that way.
Yeah, cross-country skiing.
Yeah, why not? By the way, will be links on our website, WNYNewsNow.com, about how you can donate to help that cause if you're interested. Well, that is it for us today. Of course, news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. We'll leave you with this live look over Randolph. Have a great day.